Right now, as you watch this video, Europe is burning. Temperatures exceeding 45 degrees Celsius in Spain, 41 degrees in France. Red extreme heat warnings issued across the United Kingdom, Germany, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and most of Western Europe simultaneously. And people are dying. Not dozens, not scattered individual cases. 327 heat-related deaths registered in France alone in just 5 days between June 21 and June 26, 2026. Elderly people found collapsed in their homes. A 90-year-old woman dead in her nursing home in Spain after suffering heat stroke. Emergency medical calls rising 20% above normal across multiple countries. Hospitals declaring critical incidents and restricting services to life-threatening emergencies only. And here is the number that should stop every senior watching this completely cold. 85% of excess heat deaths in Europe are among people aged 65 and over, which means that if you are over 60, the heat that the rest of the population is uncomfortable in is the heat that is genuinely capable of killing you. And the reason for that difference is not simply that older people are more fragile. It is 5 specific biological mechanisms that change dramatically after 60, that most seniors and most of their families have never had properly explained to them, and that most of the heat safety advice currently circulating completely fails to address. My name is Dr. James Carter, a cardiovascular physician with over 2 decades of experience working exclusively with senior patients. What is happening in Europe right now is not a weather event that happens to affect health. It is a cardiovascular emergency that happens to be caused by weather. If this kind of science-backed senior health information matters to you, subscribe now and hit the bell. Every week, this channel publishes what your last 3 appointments never covered. And drop your country in the comments right now. I want to know where the seniors watching this are located, because the threat level varies significantly by region. Now, let me show you exactly why extreme heat kills seniors when it does not kill others, and what you must do differently because of each reason. Reason 1. The thermoregulation failure. Your body regulates its core temperature through 2 primary mechanisms: sweating, which cools the skin surface through evaporation, and vasodilation, expanding the blood vessels near the skin to radiate heat outward. Both of these mechanisms decline significantly after 60. When exposed to periods of very high temperature, the human body may struggle to regulate itself, resulting in heat stress, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and complications from pre-existing medical conditions. In a younger adult, sweating begins within minutes of thermal stress and produces adequate cooling relatively efficiently. In a senior over 65, the sweat response is delayed, the total volume of sweat produced is reduced, and the threshold temperature at which sweating begins is higher. By the time the senior body activates its cooling response, the core temperature has already risen significantly above where it should be. The vasodilation response is equally compromised. The blood vessel walls in seniors have lost a significant portion of their elasticity. Those same stiffened blood vessels that struggle to absorb the morning blood pressure surge are the same blood vessels that cannot dilate adequately to radiate heat during a heat wave. A senior body in a 40-degree environment is not producing the same cooling response as a 40-year-old body in the same environment. It is producing a significantly weaker response and accumulating core heat faster without feeling proportionally hotter until the damage is already advanced. What to do about this right now? Do not wait to feel hot before taking cooling action. The feeling of being comfortably warm in a senior body can mask a core temperature that is already dangerously elevated. Cool actively and continuously, not reactively when you feel distressed. Cool your wrists, neck, and inner elbows with cold, damp cloths every 20 to 30 minutes during extreme heat. These are the areas where major blood vessels run closest to the skin surface. Cooling the blood flowing through them is significantly more effective than cooling other body areas. Keep your home cool by closing curtains during the day, opening windows at night, and using fans where possible. And critically, only use electric fans when temperatures are below 40 degrees Celsius. Above that threshold, fans circulate hot air and can accelerate rather than reduce heat accumulation. Reason 2. The dehydration trap. The thirst mechanism becomes significantly less reliable after 60. A senior can be severely dehydrated enough for their blood to thicken, their kidneys to strain, their blood pressure to drop, without feeling particularly thirsty. During a heat wave, this mechanism becomes genuinely life-threatening. The body is losing fluid rapidly through sweating. Even the reduced sweating response of aging still depletes significant fluid. Blood volume drops. The blood becomes more viscous. The heart must work harder to pump thicker blood through already stiffened blood vessels. Blood pressure destabilizes. The kidneys, already receiving reduced blood flow from cardiovascular compromise, begin shutting down filtration, and the senior sitting quietly at home does not feel thirsty enough to drink the volume of fluid their body is desperately requiring. What to do about this right now? Do not drink to thirst during extreme heat. Set a timer and drink 1 full glass of cool, not cold water every 30 minutes, regardless of whether you feel thirsty. Cold water can cause stomach cramping in some seniors and may actually reduce the desire to continue drinking. Cool water is absorbed more efficiently and maintained more consistently. Add a small pinch of salt and a small amount of fruit juice to 1 glass every 2 hours if you are sweating significantly. You are losing electrolytes alongside fluid, particularly sodium and potassium, and replacing water alone without electrolytes can create a dangerous dilution of blood sodium called hyponatremia. This is particularly important for seniors taking diuretic blood pressure medications who are already losing more sodium than the average person. Target a minimum of 2 to 2.5 liters of fluid daily during extreme heat, more if you are outdoors or if your home is not adequately cooled. Reason 3. The medication danger. This is the reason that receives the least attention in standard heat safety advice, and the one I consider most urgently important for seniors to understand. Multiple commonly prescribed medications that millions of seniors take every single day, dramatically alter how the body responds to extreme heat, and the interactions between these medications and heat are almost never discussed in standard prescribing consultations. Diuretics, prescribed for blood pressure and heart failure, accelerate fluid loss. During a heat wave, a senior on a diuretic is losing fluid faster than the medication was calibrated for at normal temperatures. Dehydration risk is substantially elevated. Beta blockers, another common blood pressure medication, reduce the heart rate response to physical and thermal stress. Normally, the heart accelerates during heat to pump more blood to the skin for cooling. Beta blockers suppress that acceleration, reducing the body's ability to redirect blood flow for cooling. Anticholinergic medications suppress the sweat response directly. A senior taking an anticholinergic drug during a heat wave may barely sweat at all, losing almost the entire primary cooling mechanism. ACE inhibitors and ARBs, common blood pressure medications, can cause blood pressure to drop dangerously when combined with the vasodilation and dehydration of a heat wave. What to do about this right now? Contact your physician or pharmacist today, during this heat wave, and specifically ask whether any of your current medications increase your heat risk and whether any temporary dosage adjustment or monitoring is appropriate. Do not adjust any medication independently, but do not wait for your next scheduled appointment either. This is a current emergency that requires a current conversation. Reason 4. The cardiovascular vulnerability. Heat waves cause more deaths in Europe than all other natural hazards combined. And the reason seniors account for 85% of those deaths is largely cardiovascular. Extreme heat places the heart under sustained extreme stress. The cardiovascular system must simultaneously maintain core function and redirect blood to the skin for cooling. Two competing demands that in a healthy young heart are managed without crisis. In a senior heart already managing hypertension, arterial stiffness, or existing cardiovascular disease, this dual demand can trigger cardiac arrhythmia, acute myocardial infarction, or sudden cardiac failure. The inner ear's vascular supply, among the most delicate in the body, is compromised during heat stress, producing the dizziness and disorientation that precede falls. The kidney's filtration system faces acute stress from reduced blood flow and thickened blood. And the brain, supplied by blood vessels that in seniors are already narrower and less responsive than in younger adults, begins showing signs of hypoperfusion as blood pressure drops and blood thickens. What to do about this right now? Monitor your blood pressure twice daily during extreme heat, morning and mid-afternoon. Heat commonly causes blood pressure to drop, which may sound beneficial, but represents cardiovascular instability that significantly increases stroke and cardiac risk. If your readings drop more than 10 to 15 points below your normal baseline, contact your physician the same day. Avoid any physical exertion, including household tasks, between 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. during peak heat. The cardiovascular stress of physical activity, combined with thermal stress during a heat wave, is a combination that a senior cardiovascular system may not be able to safely manage. Reason 5. Social isolation and the silent death. This fifth reason is not biological, it is social, and it kills more seniors during heat waves than almost any other single factor. Seniors who live alone, who have limited mobility, who lack air conditioning, who have no family checking on them, die in their homes during heat waves. Not because their biology failed catastrophically and dramatically, because the warning signs appeared gradually over hours. Nobody was present to observe them, and by the time help arrived, the internal damage was irreversible. The 2003 European heat wave, in which an estimated 70,000 seniors died across the continent, exposed this pattern in devastating clarity. The majority of deaths occurred in seniors living alone. The majority of those deaths were not discovered until days after they occurred. Only about 20% of European homes have air conditioning. Much of the continent's housing was designed for a cooler climate, meaning seniors are sitting in buildings that trap and amplify heat rather than dissipate it. That is the environment in which social isolation becomes fatal. What to do about this right now? If you are a senior living alone, contact one person today and establish a daily check-in arrangement for the duration of this heat wave. One phone call, one message, one confirmation that you are well. This arrangement has saved lives during every European heat wave on record. If you have a senior neighbor, family member, or friend living alone, contact them today, not tomorrow, today. Offer to check on them daily. Offer to help them access a cooler environment if their home is not adequately cooled. The deaths happening right now in Europe are not all happening because the heat was unsurvivable. Many are happening because nobody knew to check. The complete emergency heat protocol for seniors. Now let me give you the complete emergency heat protocol, 6 specific actions to implement immediately. Action 1. Identify the coolest room in your home right now and make that your primary living space for the duration of this heat event. If your home has no adequately cool space, identify your nearest public air-conditioned building. Shopping centers, libraries, and community centers across Europe are being designated as cooling centers during this heat wave. Action 2. Close all curtains and blinds on sun-facing windows from early morning. Sunlight entering through glass generates significant radiant heat inside the home. Keeping sunlight out is dramatically more effective than trying to cool a sun-heated room. Action 3. Cool your wrists, neck, and inner elbows with cold, damp cloths every 20 to 30 minutes. This is the single most efficient individual cooling action available without air conditioning. Action 4. Drink 1 full glass of cool water every 30 minutes from the moment you wake until you sleep. Do not wait to feel thirsty. Action 5. Monitor yourself for these specific warning signs that require immediate emergency assistance. Confusion or sudden disorientation. Skin that is hot and dry rather than sweaty. This indicates the sweat response has failed completely. A heart rate that is rapid and weak. Loss of consciousness for any period. These are heat stroke warning signs that represent a medical emergency. Call emergency services immediately. Action 6. Contact your physician or pharmacist today about your specific medication combination and heat risk. This single conversation could prevent the most dangerous medication-heat interaction from occurring. Let me bring everything together simply and permanently. 85% of excess heat deaths in Europe are among people aged 65 and over, not because seniors are simply fragile, but because 5 specific biological mechanisms change the way an aging body responds to extreme heat. Thermoregulation declines. The thirst mechanism becomes unreliable. Common medications create dangerous heat interactions. The cardiovascular system faces simultaneous competing demands it cannot fully meet. And social isolation means warning signs go unobserved until it is too late. Every one of these mechanisms is understood. Every one has a specific protective response, and every one of those responses can be implemented starting right now, before the next peak heat period of this current European heatwave. 3 things in the comments before you leave. Your country and your current temperature right now. Whether you have already checked on any elderly neighbor or family member today, type checked or not yet. And type heat protocol if you are committing to implementing all 6 protective actions starting immediately. Share this video today with every senior you know in Europe or anywhere experiencing extreme heat, with every adult child who has an elderly parent living alone, with every neighbor who has not checked on the person next door, because the deaths happening in Europe right now are not inevitable. They are preventable. And the prevention starts with exactly the information you now have. I am Dr. James Carter. The heat outside does not know how old you are, but your body does. Protect it accordingly. I will see you in the next video.